morning. I want to welcome you to today to A Call to the Heart Presents, and just so delighted for you to join us today. I wanted to talk some more from our new book, Restoring Worship, which is available through Amazon, or you can contact the church. But I wanted to begin this morning just in regards to really worshiping God. So thank you for joining me, and I pray that this past weekend you had a beautiful time worshiping the Lord. He is so worthy of our praise. He's worthy of our lives, and what He has done for us should cause our whole life to just really be lived in such a way that Jesus is magnified through us. So Paul opens up the book of Romans with this admonition for people to worship God. He talks about the need to be thankful and the need to glorify God. And that's what this book, Restoring Worship, is based off of. It's based off of Romans chapter 1. And Paul describes the tragedy that comes about when we don't worship God properly. Now, there's a lot of worship, but when we don't do it properly, there are significant consequences that come into our life and into our society. So he begins in Romans chapter 1 really encouraging the believers and people in general to worship God, because God has made Himself known through creation, and He's the Creator. Therefore, He should be worshiped. Now he comes to the end of Romans in chapter 12, and he admonishes believers again to worship the Lord. And he appeals to the mercy of God as a motivation for us to worship God. And I thought this is really strange. Why do we as believers have to be compelled to worship the God who has saved us? And it's because sometimes we forget His mercy. We get wrapped up in life and we get busy in life. We throw ourselves into maybe church and ministry, and we think all of this is like worshiping God. But Paul reminds us in Romans chapter 12 what it really means to worship the Lord. So he says in verse 1, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And I want to touch on that verse for just a moment, because the ESV and the Amplified Bible both show this to be our spiritual worship. For it says in the ESV, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. So Paul is identifying this as worship. The CSB says it this way, therefore, brothers and sisters, in view of the mercies of God, I urge you to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true worship. Wow, what a statement. This is our true worship. And I think for so many people today, we view worship as music. We view worship as singing, and really to even fine tune this, the fast songs are praise and the slow songs are worship. And we say that's worship, and we're going to go worship God. I'm going to go, take a few minutes and I'm going to go worship God, and I'm going to sing to the Lord. Now look, I love music. I come from a family of singers, and I love music, and I love to worship God with music. I love to sing to God. I love the fast. I love the slow. I love praising God. But Paul says in Romans 12:1 that our proper worship is presenting our bodies as living sacrifices. And I like the way he says bodies, because a lot of times we say, well, I do it in my heart. Or, worship is a private matter, and that's just something between you and God. But I'm sorry. Paul says that worship is not a private matter. Worship is not something that you just do in your heart. Now, you can do it with your body and your heart's not in it, and that also is not pleasing to God. But Paul said that our worship of God is presenting our bodies as living sacrifices. And what is really interesting about this, and it's really become a really clear picture lately for some of us, because I have watched some very precious men in my life, young men just graduating high school, who have joined the military. And they're presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice to the military, right? So that means their life is not their own anymore. They're not going to go and join the army and, tell the sergeant, look, I don't get up this early. No, it's not their choice anymore, and they can't have a bad day and call their mama to come get them. They're in it, and they are not going to get out of it unless it's by a penalty against their life. So they went to the recruiting office, and they went to the recruiter, and they presented themselves. It was like they just like, here's my life. Here's my future. Here are the next 4 years of my life. Take it and do whatever you want to do with my life. If you want to send me to a war, send me. If you want to put me in front of a bullet, then you have every right to do that to me. If you want to push me out of an airplane, look, it's not my life anymore. It's yours. And in a way, that's worship. That's what Paul is talking about. He's not talking about, I go to church and I go to the worship service. We love those, but that's not what really God is after. He's after you giving yourself to him. Says, God, I'm yours. My whole self, my whole body is yours. Not just my heart, not just my private life, but my whole body is yours. I'm here to serve you. And what do you want me to do? Where do you want to send me? Where do you want me to go? And the reason you do this, Paul says, the motivation is mercy. Look what God has done for us. God would give us such mercy. He would sacrifice his own son so we can live. Do you think he wants to torture you? Do you think when God, who would give his life that you might have life, now says, no, give me your life as a living sacrifice. Give me your body because I want to make you miserable and I want to torture you and I want to give you the worst life you could possibly imagine. No, that's not the heart of our God. The heart of our God is mercy, and he wants to bring us into a fruitful life. Jesus described it as joy. The kingdom of heaven is righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Ghost. A lot of Christians are not living in this joy because they sing songs to a God they're not worshiping, because they're not presenting their bodies as living sacrifices. So look, study it yourself. But the greatest thing you can do with your life is give it to God. And that is true worship. I thank you for joining us today. I pray that this strengthens you, gives you inspiration to really give yourself to the Lord. He's worthy of our life. God bless you. Thank you.
This was the 2-Minute Warning with a Call to the Heart, a ministry of Pastor Lee Shipp. Thanks for joining us. You can find all episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and our Facebook page. Don't forget to like and subscribe. For more information, please call 225-293-2222 or email us at ctoh@fntchurch.org.